show you another one that looks actually decent. This CRE could be something. Let's see, today, 129, so the earnings must have been today. Boom, 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 boom. CRE post better. I mean, if you remember last time CRE had earnings out, let's go to the daily chart. It got smoked just a couple months ago. So very well could get it down. You got already like kind of a red to green on the pre-market. And this one moves actually really clean. It's right in that sweet spot, like with ENPH, where you could, it moves smooth. Morning, everybody. What's going on? Yeah, Justin, refresh your thing. It should be on. All right, cool. Guys, we had a big push in the markets yesterday. It looked like we were going to kind of roll over a little bit after the interest rate decision, and then we popped back. This was a really nice end-of-day push. So essentially the gist of the story is that, you know, they're still cutting interest rates, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, we're just on that kind of race to get lower interest rates. So refinance your homes. Maybe you get a little lower interest rate. You might get a good 2-3% out of this thing at some point. That'd be pretty nice. Markets at all-time highs. When you're in they have this thing that they say, right? The old term is like, don't fight the Fed. So you have two things going on. Number one, they're cutting interest rates. Number two, they're engaging in quantitative easing, which is essentially, in layman's terms, the printing of money to buy government-backed securities like treasuries to essentially prop up the economy, which, you know, doesn't look like it needs to be propped up, but who am I to say? The big thing on the technicals is that we are at a breakout here. After this 4-day breakout, we pulled back and retested the breakout spot at 195. We're just flagging right over it at the moment. There's a change in structure in how the market is acting. If you saw in the range, what was happening when the market had been in range the last few months is strength was faded off. If you were like day trading and you were losing money and like during this phase, it's not a good thing or natural, but it was common because the way of trading is coming on. It's funny because I was like talking to a few people in our chat room that kind of fell off. And they're like, oh man, the trading's been tough lately. I go, yeah, but the market just broke out. Now everything's going to be easy. We've got ourselves a nice breakout over here. And I think that you're going to see a lot of heat. You're seeing bottoming patterns. That's how you know the market's at breakout. You're seeing bottoming patterns in the old names that really people like to day trade. You can see like the ZM's a bottoming pattern. You want to definitely add that to your list. You've got crowd here. See this thing here? This is called a 1, 2, 3 pattern. It'll look like a W. This is a bottoming pattern. So in this type of market, when the market turns into this, number one, you can add swings. You're going to get paid to really hold stocks, not just for day trades, taking like 50 cents here or there, but actually holding stocks for chunks. Can I get a stock, hold it for 4 points, 5 points, 6 points? So these are like top of the list. If you go crowd, you go ZM, like even like the shitty ones like Peloton, they're all rebounding. See that stuff? The bike companies rebounding. Now you're really seeing something. So you got yourself a really nice market happening, and it's just a subtle shift. Does it really look like the market's broken that much higher than it was, just a couple weeks ago? No, it hasn't. But that's how the market shifts around. When you're in range, everything trades like shit, and when you're breaking out, everything starts to get picked up, at least to the long side. So I think we've got ourselves we're going to have ourselves some nice action. So top of the list is obviously crowd, ZM, these kind of IPOs that have been hot. Now on the gapper side, we have really a few things that I think are going to be working really well. So number one, let me apologize for missing the last couple days in the morning. I had some computer issues the other day. Couldn't get that damn GoToWebinar and OBS working on Monday. The internet's back. You see that sun come out? The sun's shining on my face. It's been beautiful. Been beautiful. Now, top plays for today. So I'm going to go into all the kind of junkier plays, and then we'll go into the top plays. So a couple things. When you're looking at the gappers, there's a few things I want you to add in a couple columns over here. One thing you want to really do when you open up your trade ideas, add in a couple columns. Number one, besides like just the volume, add in the earnings date, and then look for buzzwords. Like you can see like here, like buzzwords, like quarterly earnings growth, things like that, like move over 100%, and definitely over 50%. They have buzzwords that can really propel a stock. If you study like really big winners, in stocks, what you'll see is anytime you get stocks that like really beat on their earnings, but you get like 100% earnings growth, 50% earnings growth, those are like buzzwords. What you'll start that get is you can get those stocks that really make a huge run. So if you go in your trade IDs, you click the column. See how like over here you have window specific filters. You can add in like different stuff. Daily average, 100,000, volume today. And you can change this like to different price parameters, all this stuff. But you want to add some columns over here. So add in like, I like to see the change in the last 20 days because I don't want to have like stocks that are too extended running into earnings. Quarterly earnings growth and revenue growth. Those are different, right? So you want sales and revenues. We don't take them into account into our analysis, but it does help in terms of just understanding which ones. Like some of the ones that we've traded really aggressively the last few days, like Spot, they have those things in common. I like to go and kind of look at those things. Does that make sense? All right, cool. You always want to add those nice columns in. Cool. So if we go on, these are my faves for today. I'm going to start going from top to bottom on what are my faves. All right, so faves for today. W is number one. I want to go with number one, but it's one of the top. We're first going to just kind of roll through. W is one of the top. You have like a big breakdown here under 100. And the other thing that I'm really curious about, if you look at the weekly chart, you have a 200 SMA at 82. You need to make some more coffee?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I'm listening to what you're saying as well, trying not to disturb you.
No, it's all good. We mainline coffee over here all day anyways. Just injecting it. Most of the time I'm just rewarming the same cup though. So you got to see right under 82. I got a couple I've had students over the last couple weeks. I got Colin over here. Colin, where are you from?
California.
He's a cop from California. He's a cop without a mustache. How messed up is that?
Don't have sunglasses either.
No sunglasses, no mustache. So 83. Any break under 83 gets this thing going. Now the other thing is you got like a lot of range. See this, a $20 drop. This is actually very orderly. If you start to kind of curl down at the open, I think that you're going to have yourselves a nice, man, you could have yourself a nice part. This is a caveat. I've traded W on earnings like now a dozen times, maybe even more. There's going to be a spread at the open. It's going to be a nasty little spread. So if you're a chaser, don't play this because you may have to short it. And if you start shorting on the bid, chasing it, you're going to get yourself in some trouble. Okay? WWE. Oh, man. Look at the weekly on this. This is basically like a head and shoulders pattern. See how like you double peak out here? You're under all these EMAs. Now you're breaking under this trend line. You got room down 43 on the weekly. On the daily, you can see also. See how like this is like a big breakdown. Man, that's Ganar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Anything under 62, we take this thing down. I kind of like this. I kind of like this even better than. Yeah, I kind of like this even better than. Yeah, look at this thing. This one's hot. I think I like this one better than W. Which one do you guys like better? If you look here, the base is more elongated on WWE. It's going back into 2008. It's going back to June 2018. Yeah. That's it. So you got a nice. This one might have a spread too. So it's a $5.3 billion company. So it's not a small cap. It's a decent market cap. But I think the float on this, they list it as 9 million. I don't know if that's the effective float on it. Let me double check with here. Yeah, so you can see on Trade Ideas it says 43 million. So
I got 78 on mine.
Yeah, everybody's got a little bit different float listed on theirs. So I think this one's going to have a little bit more action. We're going to be good. So that's number 2. But it's number 1 now. Etsy. And these Etsy stores suck. So for right off the bat, we got to take this thing down. You can see you're trending down. I like it. See, this type of pre-market action, you may see this thing shred down right off the bat. Guys, do you remember? Man, we had a 6 short in the chat room in ENPH yesterday, and it was very, very similar. See how like ENPH was like just trending down pre-market? Like we took this first tick of the day. First tick of the day, short at 2,500 shares, and we ended up covering down in the 1880s. 30-minute shred, and you had like that big, big range. One of the reasons was it's right before the market opened, it started to tick down. That's very, very important. So watch this XC. If it starts like it's just kind of drifting lower. If it starts to speed up and really start to go right at the open. Say you start at the open, you go and take down 46, and you start the ORB on a 1 or 2 minute chart around 46. Oh boy. I like that even better than WWE and W because it's going to be more liquid. You had 117 million share float. I think it's going to move a little bit cleaner. 100 million share float stocks when you're shorting is really ideal. When you're longing, yeah, you want those like kind of low float stocks. But when you're shorting, guys, if the float gets too low, it means there's a spread. You get lack of liquidity, you end up getting squeezed, and then, all hell breaks loose. All right? Third one is Cree. One of the reasons I like Cree is if you remember the previous earnings day, it dropped from 56 to 48, like right at the open. We were trading this thing. Man, it got dusted. Then it actually popped into the VWAP and re-shredded back over. It moved really, really clean. When you think about earnings plays, always remember how they moved in the past, okay? The way that they moved in the past will give you a hint in how they're going to treat you in the future. I love this one. Move this one up under OLED, okay? Now, there are some longs. And by the way, we can add Twilio, but woo! We can add Twilio, but it's already bounced like a lot off its pre-market high, so that's not really a priority for me today. So let's talk about some of the longs. SPWR. I'm only interested in SPWR over the 20 SMA. If it gets over 970, we could try a long on this because you got room to 1170. The daily chart's kind of broken on this. If you're trying to long something like this and the daily chart is so ganar, it's not going to move that clean. Light. Now this one I like. You got a 76 million share float. You got a nice range break that's developing here if it can hold over 61, 62. Apple earnings are out today too. Light runs with Apple. It's a supplier, I believe, of Apple, or in terms of components. You can see Apple earnings are today. It's up $3. We won't trade the Apple earnings because it's just going to be thick. You start trading, you're going to move around in like 50-cent range. That's not ideal. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. Now, MIC, this is Macquarie Infrastructure. Not that clean, but if it stays over this trend line, it should be okay. Only 70 million share float. I think it's got a good enough range. Not crazy amounts of liquidity on this thing. If you see normally the 600,000 shares, maybe today you're going to get 1 million or 2 million. So you get a little bit of expansion. It could work okay. You have a couple more on the downside here on MMSI, but the issue on this one is going to be, it's already down 30%. The SSR is going to be on it. This one, it could squeeze back up before it fades. That's not a priority. PVG's got earnings out today too. Breaking under the 200 SMA. This one looks okay if you like small cap stocks. Not ideal though because of what? Does anybody know why? A stock like, so on a chart, you've got a breakdown of a big pattern there. You're breaking down under 200 SMA. But why isn't it really like that hot? Resource stocks. So when I think of resource, I'm guessing this is a metals company. Metals companies don't move that well. Metals companies don't move that well. If it was an oil company, for example, oil companies work fine. We traded ORB and SLCA yesterday, a couple days ago. This is just an easy pattern. You can see you pop down, you get the first consolidation, you take the short. Then you get a second consolidation, you can add, and then you got yourself a nice, 10-15% shredder. The good thing when you short some of these small guys after earnings is you can have like a nice shred. But this PVGs I suspect is like a silver, goldy kind of stock. It doesn't look like it's an oil stock, which would move because oil stocks are getting dusted. Difference between oil and other resources. Yeah, it looks like it's a mining stock. So I'm not that keen on it. Alright, so we got Etsy, WWE, W to the long side. This OLED looks really nice. OLED also supplies like OLED displays, I believe, to Apple. You got like a nice range break over here. It's 40 million share float. It's an $8 billion company. One thing with OLED, it's got a spread on it. The spread on it can be $1 to $2 at the open. It can push. So normally, like say this is $200 stock. Say you normally would trade 200 to 300 shares. I'm just making a number. You want to go in smaller on this. A stock like this can rip 5 to 10 points on the right pattern at the open. If you guys aren't familiar with the patterns at the open, remember, like we have a million videos on them in the on-demand bootcamp section and on the YouTubes. On this one, you want that pop up. So I want to see it break over 200. I want to see it start to ORB. That means I need 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candles sideways, then a go. And now we can play, and we're going to have ourselves a little bit of fun. Oh, yeah. I think this one's got the range on it. It's up 13%. You can see why I think there's a spread. Only 15,000 shares pre-market in volume. Not necessarily going to be, it's not going to move like Apple with like like tens of millions of shares. But because it's going to have less volume, a little bit less liquidity, that's why it can shred 5-10 points all at once. Does that make sense? Sick. Oh, yeah. Good, 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 good. I like that one. So we get Cree. Always rank your plays. So Etsy, WWE, W, Cree, OLED. SPR, these are all junk. I think this light can be right with OLED. So I think those are going to be our tops. Now, beyond your gapper plays, ZM. Tons of range, good volume. You got a flat open on this one. If it starts to build and hold over 70, it can go. Always watch on ZM2 the first pullback. The first pullback works really well on this stock. Crowd, you can see this kind of W pattern that's forming. You've got a range break here. If it breaks this range, you got room to 55 today. That ain't so bad, right? We can shred that. Woo! Let's see what W's doing. All right. Yeah, what I like to do is like how I organize. I usually keep like 6 windows on another monitor. You know, on TC2000, you can make a 6-window layout. Just put on a different monitor, and you're good to go. If you guys need the layouts, you can just I'll grab them for you. You can just download them. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I can send you the layout. Hold on here. Share this layout. Yeah, I keep them all in the Discord too, but I'll post them for you. Let's see. Like, see this one? It's already starting to move. I think we got a good list, solid list here. Don't get too cute with it. You don't need 1 million stocks on your watch list in this market. Clean everything up. A couple of these oil names, these oil stocks are getting smoked yesterday. See this CRC? Breakdown, pull back into the VWAP. Man, I love this kind of setup, by the way. If you're not doing this type of VWAP setup, you're really missing out, because that's been like, I would say out of my, if you go through like my trades, this type of setup is one of my top 3 money makers this year, which is like that kind of VWAP fade, where you get that push down on like a hot name, pops into the VWAP, and then the next shred. Like, that's been, man, that's a bread and butter. So put CRCC and WLL both on your list. Both of these things got shredded. Same thing. Pop down, push it to the VWAP. You need a red candle to hold, and then you're good to go. Woo! That's hot. You know, one of these oil companies deserve to go to zero. It's time for them to pay for their sins. So that is the list, folks. That is the list. We don't need to get too cute. We got a lot of action happening right now. Man, chat room's been hot the last couple days. You know, let's try to keep that going, because, you know, this is where you make your money. If it's in these next month, 2 months, this is where you're going to make your money. The market can be slow for weeks, months at a time sometimes. But when the earnings season comes, man, you got to stack gains. Meaning, like, you know, if your goal is, say, $1,000 a day during non-earning season, then during earning season, man, you want to rack in like 2, 3, if you can. You want to start to stack them up. If your goal is to make $100 a day during earning season, you want to start to stack like $200, $300 to $400 a day, because you have more opportunity. You have all these stocks that are busting out on earnings. You won't get them every single day. Does that make sense? Good. Alright, guys. Let's have some fun. I'll make some cool videos on how awesome the trades were later on today. Alright? Peace. Let's go do what we do, peoples. Man, we got a lot of movers here. Add all these to your list, guys. Your 6-window layout may have to go to 7 windows. GBG, Twilio. Oh, man. We got. Keep cleaning up your list. Let's clean this up a little bit from yesterday. Just take out all the junk you don't plan on trading. That's one of the things you got to always really do. Like when you're making your list and you got like kind of like leftovers from the previous day, like start asking yourself, like, am I really going to trade this stuff? Like this yum, like right, we traded yesterday, but am I gonna have any interest in really trading that today? None. And then you want to rank these. So what I usually do, I want to start to rank them in terms of like order of importance. And the reason I want to do that, and I want you do that in your TC 2002, you want to rank in terms of order of importance because you don't want to miss out on your top plays. Guys, if you start missing out on your top plays, what happens? Yeah, you get shredded. All right, so let's make some money. Let's go do what we